8 o'clock Pennsylvania time. So we'll
Do I do I
kick
have to
things.
sign in too, or should we do it together? Like we got two of them going.
You're all good doing it together. Yeah, no worries.
All right, I'll turn this one off.
Best possible situation. All right. Well, then, without further ado, I'm going to kick things off for this evening. Happy to introduce myself. My name is Anna. And we just want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight, especially during our virtual events. I am a fourth-year guide going into Czech travel this year in 2024. And joining me tonight is a veteran guide who's been around forever. And he will be running us through all of our trip spotlights tonight, which include our Ireland bike tour, as well as our England coast to coast trip. And his name is Hershey, joining us from the great state of Colorado. So thanks, Hershey, for joining us tonight. And you'll hear from him in just a little bit. But without further ado, I'm going to ask everybody to actually go ahead and mute their mics and turn off of their cameras. I know, Kurt, I just asked you to turn everything on and we figured it all out. But now we're going to now we're going to move in with actually our presentation for tonight. So feel free to turn off your microphones and turn off those cameras just to kind of limit some of our distractions for tonight. All right, and for those of you who are joining us virtually, which tonight is everybody, along the bottom of your screen, or for some of you maybe on an iPad on the top of your screen, along with that camera and mute button that you'll see is actually also a button for our chat box. That chat box is going to come in handy in just a little bit when we ask some of our trivia questions for the night. So feel free to pop that bad boy open, and feel free to, at any point for tonight, if you have any questions that pop into your brain, feel free to enter them in there. If we don't get to them before the end of the presentation, we do have a Q&A session at the end where we'll go over any of those questions. So, all right, let's jump into today's route. So for any of you who have joined us at a Czech travel event in the past, you know that we typically begin every day with a route talk, so you know what you can expect from us. So I'm going to kick things off tonight and give you a little bit of information about Czech travel and who we are as a company. Then we'll go into why we think you should travel with us. And then into the most important aspect of tonight, where I pass it off to Hershey to run us through both of our trip spotlights for this evening. And then we'll come off that high of a mountain and we will go into how to actually book these trips with us. We have various different options and kind of wrap up with a few other additional details. And then we will end our session with a Q&A. At that point, we'll go through any of the missed questions in the chat box. And then we'll also invite you all to turn on your camera and your microphone. And we'd love to hear some questions from you and answer whatever we can. All right, so let's get started. First, we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are as Czech Travel and what we do. So we are a travel and tour operator that believes the world is best seen from the seat of a bicycle. And considering you've all joined us here tonight, we're pretty sure that you would agree and would love to travel the world by the seat of your bicycle. So Czech Travel has been running cycling vacations all over the world, and we're constantly scouting out new locations to take our guests to. Last year, we had a major launch of our gravel trips, which was a huge success, and we are even offering more gravel destinations this year, as well as new ride camps and just new trips across the board. We've had over 20 years of experience doing this, and over those last 20 years, we've been winning awards as we go. We take real pride in being voted one of the top vacation companies by our guests and partners. And over the last 3 years, we've been voted as Travel and Leisure's world's best tour operators within their top 10. This year, we actually finished at 5th place, which is our highest place ever. And so we like to thank all of our guests and all of our partners that we work with for voting us into that. And we hope that 2024, we can have 4 years in the running. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more about how we actually make the magic happen and how we set ourselves apart from our competitors. At Czech Travel, we call it our secret sauce. And rather than telling you, we're just going to show you. So without further ado, I'm going to allow you to hear a little bit more from our very own Tanya Burke.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests, and they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
All right. Awesome. So I love that video. I watch it all of the time, every time I'm doing these events, and it always just gets me excited. And I hope it inspires all of you to go out and ride your bike just a little bit more than you already are, especially in the winter time. Get outside, or even just jump on that indoor trainer. Something exciting that we love to broadcast this year was that we actually introduced an entire new fleet of bikes to Trek Travel's lineup, including this one that's pictured here, which is our brand new Trek Domani SL7. They have been an absolute game changer this year, really allowing us to kind of elevate our fleet, our already amazing fleet. And as you heard Tanya say, we also do offer e-bikes as well. And so I'm going to jump into those e-bikes in here in just a second. So the first e-bike that we actually offer at Trek Travel is our Verve Plus. It is a more upright seated bicycle that has a step-through frame to make it a little bit more ergonomic. It's more of like a kind of like a hybrid bike with the crossbars, and it's actually the bike that you see pictured here. Our second e-bike that we have offered is a huge upgrade to our fleet, and it's pictured right here, which is our brand new Domani Plus SLR7. Now, I know a lot of you are probably sitting there thinking that's an e-bike. And the answer is yes, that is an e-bike. Without us telling you, there's probably very little chance that you would even guess that it is one. We are super proud to be able to offer the latest and greatest technology to allow our guests to be able to travel farther, faster, and longer than they ever have before. Something I do want to mention about our Domani Plus is that they are not offered in all of our regions, and it does include an upgrade fee. And so if you're interested in any of the e-bikes, we highly recommend that when you're on the Trek Travel website looking through different trips, if you find a trip to your liking, you'll see all of the available bikes listed right there on that trip page. And so you'll see whether a Domani Plus is offered, or if we just have our Verve Plus, which is offered in almost all of our regions. Now, on the subject of e-bikes, we're going to jump into our very first trivia question for the night. So this is the point where I'm going to have you guys open up your chat boxes and feel free to type up the answer, just saying A, B, C, or D. Don't need to type out the whole answer. So the question is, what are the main components of an electric assist bike? Is it A, motor, controller, battery, and display? Is it B, handlebar, pedals, saddle, and wheels? C, gears, brakes, chains, and frames? Or is it D, lights, bells, fenders, and the basket? So at Trek Travel, just like Tanya said, we are obsessed with e-bikes because it helps get more people on bikes and allows people to do things that maybe they didn't think was even possible in the first place. If anyone does have any interest in trying out an e-bike, or if you're just unsure of which bike to book for your trip, the absolute best thing that you can do if you're a little on edge is to visit your local Trek dealer and test ride some of these bikes. It might just push you kind of over the edge to be like, I'm definitely getting the Damani Plus, or even just saying you just want the Verve just for that little extra assist. And I always say you can't ride an e-bike without a big old smile on your face. So there's also that. All right, I'm going to move along, but the answer for tonight's question is A, the motor, controller, battery, and display. In this picture, the motor, controller, and the battery all exist in the down tube of the SLR. I'm sorry, the Damani Plus SLR. And the display is actually on the top tube. So you wouldn't actually see it in this picture, but it's right there. If you're riding the bike and you look down at your top tube, that is where you're able to kind of adjust all of the components of the bike and the assist levels as well. All right, enough about e-bikes. Let's move into our different rider levels for our different trips. It's a question that we get all the time about guessing which rider level should I fall into. So we're going to kind of run through all of our 4 different rider levels, and you can kind of maybe pick and choose which rider level fits you more specifically. The first one is our leisure riders. As you can see, based on the daily average miles and the elevation and the ride time, you're spending a little less time in the saddle every day on our level 1 trips. A great example of our level 1 trip would be our Amsterdam to Bruges trip. It falls in the average mile and climbing, as you see in this chart here. And as you probably can guess about Amsterdam and Bruges, it's a little flatter out there as you're riding through the tulips. So that's a great level 1 trip. Another trip that we like to highlight for this category, however, is what's pictured here, which is Zion National Park. And we like to highlight our Zion 4-day long weekend trip. This is a great way to tie back why we love e-bikes so much, because the level 1 rider who might opt to ride an e-bike can easily bump themselves up to a level 2 trip. Same thing as a level 2 rider, maybe opting for an e-bike can jump up to a level 3, and so on and so forth. So our level 2 is our recreational riders. As you can see, just a little bit higher mileage and elevation and riding time every day. And a great example of our level 2 trip is actually pictured here in Provence. A level 3 is our category where we probably have the most trip options available. And as you can see, you're spending just about half your day on your bike, while the other half of your day, you're out enjoying good food and visiting local landmarks, etc. And a great level 3 trip that we love to highlight is actually a brand new one that we launched this year in 2024, which is pictured here, and it's Byron Bay in Australia. So we are excited to be able to launch yet another continent to our repertoire of trips already. And then last but not least is our level 4 avid trips. And these trips are all about eat, sleep, ride, repeat. These are our ride camps, our Tour de France trips, as well as all of our classic climbs series. What's pictured here is our classic climbs of the Slovenian and Italian Alps. And something to note about our level 4 trips is that they do require a good amount of time in the saddle, as you can see, 5+ hours. And it requires lots of training before you actually go on the trip to make sure that you're ready for what's to come. And great bike handling skills are actually a must as well. And just due to the nature of these trips, more often than not, we actually don't allow e-bikes on a lot of our level 4 trips. But no worries, because we have plenty of other trips that do allow e-bikes on that are just as fun. All right, so hopefully you found which category that you might fall into. If you have any more questions regarding rider levels, feel free to reach out to our trip consultants at any time, and they're more than happy to help you figure out which category to fall into. All right, let's move into what's included on a Trek travel trip. So in the price of your trip includes all of these things here on the list, such as your bike and all of your bike equipment, having your guides on trip with you who are your bike mechanics, your hotel stays are all figured out, most of your meals, all of those good things. So it doesn't really leave a lot that's not included on your trip, but I will call out a few things that are not included. Some things that we do not include in the cost of our trip is airfare, transportation, and lodging before and after your trip. But I do want to note that Trek Travel is proud to partner with a travel services provider, and we are more than happy to connect you if you'd like any assistance with planning out the logistics and the transportation before and after your cycling vacation. We also like to call out that some meals are not included, and that's because we like to invite our guests to be able to go out on their own and explore some of the local cuisine and just kind of do whatever it is that's calling your name for an evening, and kind of get away from the group a little bit as well. So kind of just inviting you to do something on your own. And then lastly, the gratuity for your Trek travel guides is also not included in the price of your trip. All right, let's open those chat boxes one more time for our second and last trivia question for the night. I love this picture so much. And our question for the night is what or where is the location of this picture? Is it A, Portugal, B, Piedmont, C, Tuscany, or D, Croatia? If anyone has been there before, maybe you have a little bit of a leg up on a couple people. But we'd love to hear what you guys all think of this picture. Now, I do like to note as well that if you are at all having trouble on picking the perfect trip, because we do offer a lot of destinations, we just encourage you to hop on our website and play around with our Trip Finder tool. There you're able to kind of categorize trips either by rider level, or maybe you have a certain continent that you'd love to go to, or maybe a one hotel style trip because you love to just explode your suitcase. Whatever it may be, that Trip Finder tool is able to kind of segment off some of those trips for you and kind of narrow down some of your destination locations. But I'm seeing quite a few answers coming through in the chat box. So I'm going to move along and congratulate those who got it right, where the correct answer is C, Tuscany. And this picture is actually taken in the Chianti region of Tuscany, a place that I've never been and I've been dying to go to. All right, now, lastly, this is my time where I get to pass it off and I get to stop talking and we get onto the point of the night where you guys are all looking forward to the most, which is our trip highlights. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it along to Hershey to run us through our England coast to coast and our Ireland bike tours. Take it away, Hersh.
Hey, thank you so much for that, Anna. It's always great to be here. I can't believe this is your fourth season with Trek Travel. I feel it was just yesterday that we met. The time is definitely flying by. So you guys don't want to hear about that, but you do want to hear about the two awesome trips that we have tonight. And the first one that I'm pretty excited to highlight because I love riding in the UK, and that is our new England Coast to Coast bike tour. This is an experience. It's 6 spectacular days of riding through England's stunning landscapes. It's a point-to-point tour. We pass through 3 national parks throughout Yorkshire. We go past verdant pastures, flocks of sheep, rolling fields. You're going to soak in the timeless charm of traditional pubs, which I truly love to go spend time and explore. We go through these cute and charming towns, and you'll learn about this region, and you'll see why it's been an inspiration for both classic literature and poetry. As you can see here, a picture is definitely worth 1,000 words. Now, this trip, the terrain in Yorkshire, it includes quiet roads. There are views of heather-clad mountains, definitely some climbs which are testing, which means what you go up, you have some superb descents descending. This tour is definitely best suited for our type 3 and 4 riders. Anna mentioned the bikes that we offer on a lot of our trips tonight. The England trip, well, we are on the Domani AL5 disc, and then our electric assist bike is the Elant Plus 6. Both of these bikes are incredible, and they're a great ride in the English countryside. Now, on the first full day of the trip, we start off, like on a lot of tours, with an incredible day. After a solid climb, we'll fuel up with a cuppa, which a cuppa, you'll learn about that shortly, but basically it's a cup of tea. We hop back on our bikes and we tackle then the famous or infamous Buttertubs Pass. It's an iconic climb. It was featured in the 2014 Tour de France, so you may still see some spray paint on the roads. The pass is named after a 65-foot deep limestone portholes just off the road near the summit. It was said that farmers, well, on their way to and from market, they would store their butter in these holes on a hot day. That way the butter didn't melt at all. And when they came back from market, their butter would still be there. Therefore, the name Buttertubs Pass. If you're up for a challenge, you can drop a sandwich or some butter in those and see if you can go up and down. And when you come back, see if your butter or your sandwich isn't melted and it's still nice and cool. I have a feeling it will be. Now, on another day, you're going to enjoy superb terrain. You're going to continue riding through Yorkshire. You're going to go through Dales National Park with all of its historic villages. It's a tale of three dales as we ride through the stunning valleys or the dales of Coverdale, Wharfedale, and Nidderdale. It's a memorable loop through the national park, and it is incredible. Now, after a glorious descent, through the North York Moors National Park, you're going to pass through the ruins of Rievaulx Abbey. It's one of England's most powerful sister monasteries until it was seized under the infamous King Henry VIII. Yeah, so not only is the riding incredible, but the history is just, it's palpable. You're going to see what happened when King Henry VIII took it out on the Church of England because he wanted to get a divorce to marry the second or third love of his life. But because the monastery said, no way, he took his irritation and his frustration out by removing the roof of the monastery and basically disbanding it. So now it's just what you see here. You've probably visited many beautiful religious buildings in the past, but we guarantee this one is something special. So visiting here is one of those favorite aspects that guests love to see and experience on this trip. Another of the highlights is when you can refuel for a delicious green tea and a cuppa. As I mentioned before heading on to our next hotel, all along this trip, you're going to enjoy all these amazing delights, including Yorkshire pudding. It's best eaten with lots of English brown gravy. We definitely promise that. You're going to have Black Sheep Ale, and you've probably had beer before, but if you have not had ale, you definitely have to have a few. And of course, the famous cup of Yorkshire tea, it's known as the cuppa. The Yorkshire people will not drink any other type of tea. And once you have it, you will see why as well. Now, speaking of pubs, on this day, we're going to head and do a tour of the famous Black Sheep Brewery, where you can enjoy a few pints of the popular local ales. The owners of this brewery are part of a family-owned brewery that's even older, it's more traditional, but they decided that they wanted to break free, do something a little bit more creative, and then that is why it is now called the Black Sheep Brewery, because they went against the grain of the family. Once you're here, you're going to totally understand why, and I think you might fall in love with this place. Now, at the end of the ride, on our last full day of the trip, you're going to get to dip your toes into the North Sea and celebrate reaching the end of this incredible 6-day point-to-point journey. After a quick dip in the sea, well, then you're going to have time to explore the town of Robin Hood Bay. The twisty, cobbled alleyways of the village used to be the stomping grounds of the Normans as they were in the 18th century. Now, legend has it that Robin Hood himself encountered French pirates along the fishermen's boats, where the pirates surrendered and Robin Hood returned the loot to the people of the bay. But you know, this is one incredible trip. But instead of me telling you about it, we decided that we're going to play this incredible video. So I hope you enjoy this video.
I've been lucky enough to ride my bike around the world for the last 25 years, and you know, I think there's something truly special about riding in Yorkshire, just for the simple pleasure of cycling and you know, exploring. Yorkshire might not be on your cycling radar, but You know, this area has really come to life in the last decade. You know, in 2014, the Grand Depart of the Tour de France was here, and in 2019, the region hosted the World Cycling Championships. Both events were absolutely tremendous. I remember them well. There were 2 million people out on the roads watching the racing. It was an incredible time. I think what perhaps makes this tour, this itinerary special is the diversity it offers as we traverse across England's 3 finest national parks. You know, it's a really unique opening in the Lake District where we access the start point by boat on the stunning Ullswater, and the Lakeland Fells form the backdrop for our first day of riding. As we head east, we reach the Yorkshire Dales, which were the centrepiece of the Tour de France, and then into the wide open spaces of the North York Moors, where those rolling roads lead to the sea on England's north coast. It's a pure joy to ride on some of the quietest roads in Europe, where you can relax, escape, and connect with nature. Yorkshire is known as God's own country by residents of the county, and there's no doubt the landscapes are truly outstanding here. However, beyond the hills, moors and forests lie the beating heart of vibrant communities where a friendly welcome is guaranteed. In nearly every village, there's a cafe or a pub that you'd be proud to call your local. Come to Yorkshire, and memorable hospitality is waiting for you, from fantastic restaurants specialising in hyper-local produce to off-the-scale charming tea rooms and some of the best real ale breweries you'll find anywhere. It's easy to see why the biggest cycling events in the world have chosen to come here. Beautiful scenery, epic roads, warm hospitality and local passion. If you love cycling, you'll love Yorkshire.
And I simply love that video. And having ridden through parts of the UK and parts of Yorkshire, I'll just say, like, those small roads, they are a road, but it just feels like a private bike path that you're on. And you get to go to all these cool pubs and towns with friends. So if you're looking for an amazing experience in a different country where they speak English and you can get to know the locals, I'll say our England coast to coast trip is amazing. Now, speaking of another English-speaking trip, I'm pretty excited to share with you our our Ireland bike tour. The magic of Ireland, I'll just say, it exudes a deep richness of both its past and a quiet beauty like no other place. This small island has made it a grand place throughout the world due to its history, its heart, the people. It's just such a warm and inviting culture. And so I'm pretty excited. Anna and I are both pretty excited to share with you our Ireland bike trip tonight. Now, this trip, the terrain is definitely varied. Some of the ascents are short, challenging climbs. Nothing's ever over 5 kilometers long. But if you do choose to do the more difficult routes, which if you're a cycling lover, I definitely encourage that, then this trip is suited for those type 3 riders. Now, like our England trip here, we also have the Domani AL5 disc, which is an incredible bike, along with the Verve Plus bike. Both are great, whether you choose the e-assist or you choose the road bike, to really explore all that Ireland has to offer. Now, on the second day of this trip, we get to explore, and you will cycle around the awe-inspiring Ring of Kerry. It's a scenic route around the Ivridge Peninsula in southwest Ireland. The spectacular beauty of the Ring of Kerry provides an amazing insight to the ancient heritage of Ireland. This ride will take you along the northern coast peninsula of Carrigal Fort. Here you can see the Carrigal Fort. It's a ring fort. It's medieval, it's stone. The views are stunning. And when you explore it, just learning a little bit about the history just brings this ring fort just so much more to life. Now, we spend the third day of this trip traveling up one of my favorite climbs, It's called the Gap of Dunlow. It's famous here. The Gap of Dunlow was formed 25,000 years ago during Ireland's last ice age as a result of the glacial breach. It was where a glacier came through the Black Valley. It was estimated to be over 500 meters deep. It broke through the head of the Gap of Dunlow. It moved northwards, carving out a U-shaped valley. And here you will cycle through it. Be sure to hop off your bike to capture the panorama view of McGillicuddy's Reek. It's a sandstone and siltstone mountain range, which is Ireland's highest mountain range, and we are gonna pedal right through that. Now I'm just gonna say something else. We see a cyclist here. It's incredible to bike through, but if you choose not to bike, you can give your bike to your TT guides. The other way to go through the Gap of Dunlow is by a horse-drawn carriage. So if you're like, Anna Hershey, I'm not really into biking up, well, then you can jump in a horse-drawn carriage and then take some photos and enjoy the journey. But this ride, whatever you choose to do, it is incredible. Now, our second home for the night is in the town of Kenmare, and here you can enjoy a historic and entertaining walking tour with one of the few true people from Kenmare. They'll give you the history about it. One thing I'm going to point out is that, as you can see in this photo, you have a red building, a peach building, a blue building, like a maroon building, a green and white building, that every building has a different color. And it was set in Kenmare because the pubs are so cool and lively that to help the locals find their way home to the right door at night, that they painted all the buildings different colors. That way, if you couldn't remember quite, you can say, I'm the blue building on the main street, and you would know where to go and somebody could help you find your way. Now, you are also, Anna knows I love chocolate. In fact, she was sweet. I showed up to guide some trips with her last year, and my flights were delayed. And by the time I got there, she had a nice bar of chocolate waiting for me. And I love chocolate. And if you love chocolate too, you are going to get to experience and make your own chocolate. So here is Lorge Chocolatier, Benoit Lorge. He is French, but he moved to Ireland because he thought they needed great chocolate. He does everything by hand. And if you've ever wanted to make chocolate and learn the art of it, the history of it and everything, he will go through that all. And then you will get to, make your chocolate and put them into whatever designs you like. And then at the end of it, you get to make and bring your chocolate home with you. And I'll just say it's an incredible experience. And we do that on this bike tour. So not only do we do a walking tour in Kenmare, you can ride in a horse and buggy up the Gap of Dunlow, but you can also then jump in a boat and go around Bantry Bay with one of the local guides. Perhaps if you're lucky, you might catch a fish or two. And it's just so much. Like, the riding is incredible, everything that you get to experience. But the last real part is to top things off in Ireland. You can enjoy a fresh pint of Guinness with a shot of whiskey. You don't shoot the whiskey. I found out the hard way. You actually sip the whiskey. So you take a sip of your pint of Guinness, which a true popper pour, by the way, takes a few minutes. So if you see your pint sitting on top, do not grab it like I did my first time in Ireland. It wasn't done yet. And everybody's like, it was like the music stopped when I grabbed the pint, and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, getting my beer. And they're like, what are you doing there? Hey, stranger, no, leave it alone. Step away. And the bartender then looked at me and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I'm confused. And they said, yes, you are. Just calm down. So the cool thing is life definitely slows down. You can meet locals. It's called getting lost in the crack. It's like the crack of life. You start a conversation, and by the end of the night, you have 50 new best friends in the pub. You don't know where the conversation went to, but instead of me telling you more about getting lost in the crack, we have another incredible video to share with you. So I hope you enjoy it. So I just want to say, like, if you're thinking about Ireland, I have one more story to share with you all, and that is one of the most incredible things. We were biking, and yes, it does rain in Ireland. It doesn't rain all the time, and not every day. And sometimes it's a storm, and sometimes it's a mist, and sometimes the sun is out, and sometimes there's rainbows. But we were getting to our hotel, and it had been raining cats and dogs. And I show up, and Patrick is like, Mr. Jonathan, are you with the guests? I'm like, yeah, we're all right here. He's like, you're soaking wet. Just put your bikes against the castle here. And so we put them against the building. He goes, here are here are a bunch of wool blankets for you all. Just come on in. I stoked a fire, and we go into the hotel, we go into the bar, and there's this massive fire, and the room is just radiating heat. And myself and all the guests, like, we're up, just standing in front of it, starting to warm up. And he comes and he has a tray of fresh hot toddies. And he's like, Mr. Jonathan, I made you all hot toddies here. You have one. I'm going to make another one. And I won't take no for an answer. You're going to have 2 hot toddies at least. And then we'll get you checked in because you'll be nice and warm and right and ready. And sure enough, he was. And so if you are looking for a place in a tour with incredible hospitality, where the Irish are open and welcoming and loving, and you're there to take in the culture, I'll just say Ireland is incredible. And whether you choose to go and do England coast to coast or Ireland, you cannot make a bad decision. And so, with that, I am going to pass it back over to my colleague Anna, who will share with you all the good details.
Oh, Hershey, that was amazing. Thank you so much for running us through both of those. I loved your story about grabbing the Guinness too early. I would totally do the same thing. I have no idea. Oh, well, that's so super exciting. I hope that you guys maybe got some questions coming up in your heads about either those trips or just trek travel in general. And I promise we are almost to our Q&A session. But now that we have come down from our trip spotlight and got to see all those exciting videos, I'm going to walk you through just a couple options on how to book and how to proceed from here. So as far as our booking process goes, you have 3 different options as far as how you'd like to book. If you know exactly what you want to do, the exact dates you want to go, no worries. You can feel free to sign up right now, right on the comfort of your own couch, or on the floor of your Utah house on a yoga mat. Either one, doesn't matter. Your second option is to give us a call. Give our trip consultants a call anytime, Monday through Friday. They're more than happy to chat with you, answer any more questions that you have, and then just kind of set expectations for what you'll see on the trip. And then lastly, of course, if you opt to use a travel agent, feel free to utilize your travel agent to get booked on one of our excursions as well. And then once you're booked, it's time to think about the pre and post trip logistics. If you go onto our website and pick the trip that you are most interested in, or the trip that you just booked, all of our trips will include a little tab at the top that says travel details. If you go ahead and click on that tab on any of our trips, it'll give you the information that you need to kind of go ahead and start booking pre and post hotels. We list out all of our hotel recommendations in the region for where you'll meet your guides and where your trip will end. And then we'll also provide flight information, details like which airport to fly into, if you need to take a train transfer or a bus transfer or whatever that might be. All of those details are included in there. And then of course, we always recommend that you arrive at least one day before your trip starts, just to kind of account for any potential travel delays and whatnot. But ideally, you show up a few days early and kind of do a little bit of exploring on your own as well. Highly encouraged. And then if you have any more questions about trip specific logistics, we do ask that you reach out to our trip consultants. As Hershey and I might not be attuned to all of the specific little nitty gritty logistics details, but they're more than happy to help you out and answer any of those questions you might have. All right, and then one last plug for these fun virtual events that we've been doing. If you enjoyed tonight's presentation, we do encourage you to check out the events page on our website, where you can hear more about all of our trips through the eyes of our guides, such as myself and Hershey, which goes beyond the information that's provided on our website. And a little pro tip, if you do decide that any of these events sound interesting to you, we highly encourage you that you register. And even if you miss the event, life happens, things happen, you forget, doesn't matter. As long as you've registered, you will receive our recap email that comes out after these events that has all the information that we talked about in our event, as well as a recording of these events. So if you do miss it, you will get that email, and you can go ahead and just kind of skip ahead to the trip spotlights, as the stuff we talk about in the beginning is typically about the same each time. So little pro tip for you guys. And then also a quick plug to feel free to check out our YouTube channel anytime, where you can see all of those videos, such as the ones that we showed tonight, is like England and Ireland. We have so many more videos and more coming out as well. So feel free to give that a check that out. All right. And then as far as our action steps, I mentioned the recap email. You'll be getting that pretty soon. And then next, feel free to visit our website, play around with the trip finder tool that I mentioned earlier. Go ahead and look through different trips and check out the different photos, and just kind of allow you to kind of get excited and to dream a little bit about where you want to go next. And then next, of course, give us a call if you have any questions. Like we mentioned, our trip consultants are happy to work with you and want to get you on the perfect trip for you. And then the best part about all of this is to actually get excited for your trip once you're booked. That includes going to your local bike shop and test riding different bikes to make sure you pick the right one. It includes going and getting different gear that you might need. Say if you're going to Ireland or England, maybe having a rain jacket's not a bad idea, just in case. And then, yeah, also just getting the miles in on your bike as well, going for group rides, getting on Zwift, whatever it may be for you, to kind of get you excited and get you prepared for your amazing trip that awaits you. I think that is it. So I think that will wrap up our event for this evening. So I just want to thank everyone one more time for joining. If anybody needs to jump off, no worries. But if you want to stick around and listen to Q&A, or if you have any questions that might be lingering out there, I don't see any questions in the chat box. So feel free at this time. We invite you to turn on your camera and your microphone and ask any questions that you might have. Oh, actually, I do see Pat just asked me a question. I only see one date guaranteed for the UK trip. When might others be guaranteed? Let's see. I have to go on our website and see what date that is. Yes, so June 23rd to June 28th. A guaranteed trip. So I believe all of our trips. I guess the question, I don't necessarily know when our trip becomes guaranteed for truck travel. Hershey, do you know the answer to that?
I believe when people book, it's guaranteed. Some of them, though, there could be some differences to it, but I think as soon as you book, it's guaranteed.
So the best piece of advice I can give for that is, if you can't go the week that it's noted as guaranteed, when you do go ahead and book, I would give our trip consultants a call and just ask how many people are on that trip already. They have all the information and they're happy to share it with you. And so, yeah, they'll have a little bit more idea about when a trip is guaranteed. But yeah, I think as long as there's, yeah, like at least 2 people on it, it's pretty much a
Yeah.
guaranteed trip. But that's a
'Cause
great question.
We both have guided a 2-person trip before.
Yes, we have. They're actually kind of fun. They're like private trips.
Totally.
All right. Kurt is booked
Awesome.
across England June and across Italy in September. Wow. 2 point-to-point trips. That's awesome. That's so exciting. Nobody else has any questions? This is crazy. I don't know if I've ever had no questions.
No,
All right. Well, it seems like we kind of cleared the way. Maybe all of you guys are truck travel veterans and you've all done this before, so you guys already all know. Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up at that then, unless Hershey, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, you really can't go wrong with either of the trips. Oh, there was a question, how many rainy days in England? And I've been there for over a week and have had no rain, and I've been there and it's rained most of every day. But typically when we run these trips, we run them when the weather is the best in the area. So if you bring your rain gear, then you're guaranteeing liquid sunshine repellent, and you probably won't need to use it. but if you leave it at home, I guarantee you might be looking to buy some.
Always how it goes, isn't it?
Totally.
Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Exactly. Exactly.
It goes. All right. Well, then we'll thank you guys all one more time for joining us tonight. If any other lingering questions do pop up, feel free to give us a call, like we mentioned, or even respond to the email from events@trektravel.com that you'll get with this recap and this recording.
Perfect.
So thank you all. We'll sign
Thank you
off
for
now.
joining us. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully in England or Ireland or somewhere on the road.
Yes, yes, yes. And have fun with your trip across England and across Italy, you guys. That's so exciting.
Totally.
All right. Everyone have a lovely night. Ciao,
Have a
ciao.
great night. Ciao. Thanks, Anna.